Jorge. I hope I didn't overdress. I mean, sequins for episode 2, it might be too much for the British queen. Oh, hey! Hi, it's me, Wilma Fingerdoo, with the Fingerdoo review of RuPaul's Drag Race UK, episode 4, season 4, episode 2. And before I get started, I want to welcome back to the Fingerdoo family on Patreon, Lady Jenny Anytime, or as we call her here on the live chat, Yo-Yo. She leaves, she comes back, she leaves, she comes back. Personally, I think she works for MI6 as an international killer. It's the only reason I put up with it. But seriously, welcome back, Lady Jenny. Patreon just isn't the same without you. There, that should keep her from killing me. I'd also like to send a shout out to my Tipperdoo boyfriend, Vito. You're a doll, Vito, and you spoil me. I'm so serious. If you'd like to send me a Tipperdoo, the link is in the description box down below. Seriously, all Tipperdoos are greatly appreciated. Just saying. I'd also like to take a somber moment to acknowledge the passing of Cherry Valentine. As you all know, the world was shocked to hear of her death, and I'm sure you join me in sending love and prayers to Cherry's family and friends. It was such a shocking loss, seriously. Okay, now on to happier things. Jorge, drink me! Oh, look at this, a fancy Cosmo. In honor of Cherry? Okay, I'll take it. Ooh, powerful. Well, as you can imagine, there were mixed emotions in the workroom as the queens said goodbye to Just May. Of course, Dakota was sad to see her go, but seemed to get over it pretty quick knowing that she was staying. There seemed to be a collective surprise at May landing in the bottom in the first place, which I thought seemed to suggest that they thought Coppertop was going to be there instead. A fact that was not lost on Miss Top. To be fair, I think she was just thrilled to survive another day no matter how she did it. Seriously. Danny Beard made an excellent point about Dakota. Her performance during the lip sync was surprisingly fierce. Clearly, they've been underestimating this queen. Personally, I'm just jealous of her youth and beauty. Hell, she wears less makeup than Courtney Act. Over on the sofas, Copper admitted how grateful she was not to be sent home, but what seemed to worry her more was that the other queens weren't going to see her as a threat after being in the bottom. I say well done. Get the attention off you so they take each other down, Copper. Seriously. Of course, that only works if she has a comeback, so Fingerdoos from a fellow ginger. Seriously. Speaking of threats, the queen everyone should be scared of is Black Peppa. She's just come off winning both the first mini and maxi challenges of the season and is already a clear favorite with the judges. It's going to take some serious drag to keep up with this beauty, and she knows it. Well done, Pep, seriously. Mind you, the big news was that Pixie Polite had broken the Brighton curse by not going home first. She's talking to you, Joe Black and Anubis. Seriously, so glib. Watch, she'll go home next. Mark it down. The next day in the workroom, Sminty Drop's nose seemed to be a tad out of place where Black Peppa's repeater badge was concerned. She was desperate not only to get a badge, but to prove to the other queens that she's more than just a face, body, looks, and perfection. From the looks on some of the other queens' faces, they didn't even think she was that. Thank goodness Rue's video message interrupted the queens from teaching Sminty Drop a little something something. Rue's video message was all about music and songs, so the queens were excited that it possibly was a singing challenge. Well, they weren't far off. When Rue did arrive without a mini challenge, I hate that, she told the queens that this week's maxi challenge would be that they were headliners at the Glastonbury Festival. The queens would create 2 girl groups and perform the latest Drag Race hit, Come Alive. For the most part, the queens all seemed thrilled to do this, but I was worried about Cheddar's reaction. Clearly, singing and dancing is not in this intergalactic alien beauty's repertoire. Come on, Cheddar, seriously. Because she'd won, well, everything last week, Black Peppa was one of the team captains. The other was Dakota Schiffer because, well, she'd won the lip sync. Right away, the queens picked teams. Peppa picked Baby, good choice. Sminty dropped John Bur's Blonde and Starlet. Dakota picked Danny Beard, another good choice. LaPhil, Cheddar Gorgeous, and Pixie Polite. Of course, that left poor Copper last on the workroom floor. As she had predicted, the other queens were underestimating her, poor thing. But because she was last, she got to pick which team she wanted to be on. So it all boiled down to which team she would shine in the most. Because Copper was afraid Team Pep would make her look bad in the dance department, she chose Team Dakota, much to Pep's apparent relief. Judgy. Of course, group names had to be picked. John Burr suggested Triple Threat to her team, even though there were only 5 of them. And because no one had any better suggestions, Triple Threat it was. Dakota's team wanted to go down a more comic path with their name. Pixie suggested Shakespeare's Fister. Of course she did, but seeing as it's the BBC's 100th anniversary, they vetoed it. Wonder what they would have said for the 99th. Danny suggested Queens of the Bone Age, and a new girl group was born. Pixie shared that she was already in a girl group with Season 3's Tia Coffee, but she was quick to point out that Tia had landed in the bottom on her girl group challenge, so there were no guarantees, I guess is what we are learning here. Over on Triple Threat, Baby revealed that she has a degree in songwriting, so she was very quick to offer assistance to anyone who felt that they were struggling, which was an obvious release to Starlet, poor thing. Of course, Rue dropped in to check on the queens and possibly throw a suggestion or two at them, but she wasn't alone. Singing and songwriting legend Kathy Dennis was in tow. Oh my God, I just love Kathy Dennis. The work she did with D-Mob and her solo stuff was fabulous, but the collaborations she's done with Britney Spears, Kylie Minogue, Katy Perry. Oh, here's to Kathy Dennis. Triple Threat were up first. Peppa seemed to be on the right track with her lyrics. Starlet was next and revealed that she had a burlesque background, which seemed to improve Rue's opinion of her just a little. John Burr's lyrics seemed to be too bland for Kathy, and she suggested she give them a twist. Yeah. Queens of the Bone Age were next. Dakota had a good start as far as Kathy was concerned, but she felt Dakota was being a little long-winded and needed to be a little more declarative. Trim the fat, so to speak. Cheddar's reference to hot cheese seemed to stick in Kathy's craw. Just made me hungry. She's clearly not a fan of fondue. Danny's self-serving lyrics didn't garner much of a reaction, especially after Pixie Polite started singing about her thighs. Now that's all I'm thinking about. And then Rue had another surprise. She announced that this week's guest judge was FKA Twigs. I bring this up because Baby said she was one of her favorite songwriters. Clearly, when she heard this, she lost her natural mind. But there was no time to fangirl. It was off to record their lyrics with the overly tan Leland and the adorable Freddie Scott. Up first was Dakota Schiffer. She didn't do too badly, but Leland made a good point. If she was going to sing about being confident, she needs to sound more confident. LaPhil did so well that Leland called her a rock star. The same cannot be said for Cheddar, but in her defense, I think she was psyching herself out. Was she the best singer in the room? No, not at all, but she certainly got better as she went along. Good for you, gorgeous. Seriously. I have to say, I was excited to see how Coppertop would do recording her lyrics because, well, she was so determined to win this challenge. Well, she surprised the hell out of me. I think she did well and has a chance to win it. That is, if she can stop flirting with Freddie Scott. Focus, Copper. Seriously. Danny did well too, but still, she seemed to have a problem saying Mother Tucker. Something tells me she uses the adult version of that phrase way more in her day-to-day life. Dirty. Pixie Polite proved why she's in a girl group in her real life. Clearly, she sung live once or twice before. As for Triple Threat, they started strong with Baby's lyrics. Scarlett was next, and, well, she was clearly uncomfortable, but Leland seemed to get her to relax a little. Sminty was next, and she did a really good job. Her high-energy personality lent itself beautifully to her lyrics. Black Peppa's rap was solid as well, but the weak link by comparison was JB, bless her. She had no rhythm in her lyrics, like she wrote them without listening to the actual song, but with a lot of direction and patience from Leland, she got through it. How well she got through it, though, is anybody's guess, I'm just gonna say. And then it was on to choreography, which the queens had to create themselves. For the queens of the Bone Age, LaFille stepped up literally and took on the job of choreographer. I thought she did a good job keeping the moves simple yet effective. I was surprised, however, to hear that Danny Beard is a salted slug when it comes to dancing. But the other queens seemed to be very supportive, even though they were a bit surprised too. Triple Threat seemed to have its own set of hurdles, mostly Sminty and Starlet, bless. But Baby took over the role of choreographer and seemed to have little trouble getting Triple Threat through it. Just a baby, way to step it up, baby. And then it was elimination day. As Dakota was getting ready, she showed Sminty pics of her and her identical twin, who also does drag. As fabulous as that was, I really enjoyed hearing about Dakota's coming out process, especially with a dad who was a man's man in the Marines. Oh, of course he tried to steer his children in the direction he desired, but clearly he's changed his ways and is super supportive of both his children. Just the parents who know how to adapt. Just saying. And then it was time to head to the main stage. Rue was looking perfect in pink, and can I just say, I'm loving Rue in these red wigs, but then I might be partial. Joining Rue, as per usual, was the big-haired Michelle Visage, you heard me, and the delightful Graham Norton. This is Graham's second appearance this season. Do we think Alan Carr is not returning? Inquiring minds, people, I'm just saying. And joining them on the judges panel this week, singer and songwriter FKA Twigs. Up first, the song. Triple Threat went first while Queens of the Bone Age watched from the workroom. I thought Triple Threat all looked fabulous. First to solo was Baby, and she set a fantastic tone for the rest of the song. It's just too bad that Starlet was next. Don't get me wrong, she looked gorgeous. It's just too bad her choreo didn't. She spent a lot of time checking to see where the others were in the routine, much to Rue's chagrin. Sminty Drop was next, and thankfully she was a ball of energy. Unfortunately, she was a ball of energy that had lost the skill to lip sync, bless. For all her trials and tribulations recording her lyrics, I thought John Briss Blonde was a standout in her group for sure. If Triple Threat landed in the bottom, it wouldn't be because of her. Seriously. As for Miss Rue Peter Badge herself, Peppa didn't hold nothing back. She was up, she was down, there was splits and shablams. She was the perfect choice to close out their song. Well done, Triple Threat, but when the queens took their place in the workroom to watch the other group perform, Sminty Drop had a bit of a breakdown over all the mistakes she'd made, and from the look on Baby's face, she wasn't arguing with her. In Baby's defense, annoyed as she was with all the mistakes that everyone seemed to make, she acknowledged that it was a big ask to go on the biggest drag stage in the world and expect perfection. She wasn't going to put pressure on anyone for freezing up, but if those cameras hadn't been on. Mind you, I almost slapped Starlet myself when she said, with a straight face I might add, that she thought she'd done pretty well. Queens of the Bone Age were next, and because there was more singing in their version, it sounded like a completely different song to me. Was it a better song? Well, I thought Queens of the Bone Age sold it a whole lot better than Triple Threat did. Dakota impressed the hell out of me. Seriously, she looked good and sounded even better. LaFille was amazing. For the shortest queen on that stage, she just seems to take up the most space. Good for her. Cheddar was another one I shouldn't have been worried about. Her verse was great, but she looked even better. That mohawk alone, seriously. It took me a moment to realize it was Copper Top I was watching when she was performing. She looked so different, but better than that, her verse rocked too. Danny's verse was fantastic, but I felt her look was the least cohesive of the group. Closing the song out on a strong note was Pixie Polite. She looked as good as her verse sounded. Well done, Pixie. If I had to pick a team to win, it would definitely be these queens. And from the look on the other team's faces and their subsequent bickering, so did they. And then it was time for the runway. Category is Neon Nights. I gave Starlet an immediate Fingerdoo for this retro furry cat devil. It was breathtaking. John Burr's Blonde got a Fingerdoo too for her neon orange statement piece, and her runway wasn't too bad either. I had no trouble giving Baby a big old Fingerdoo for her neon feathery goodness, but she doesn't care what I think when she has FKA Twigs applauding her. And yes, neon feathery goodness was my drag queen name in high school. Sminty came out in a neon version of the Marie Antoinette look she crouched onto the stage in last week, which is probably why I gave her a finger don't. Try harder, Sminty! Thank goodness Black Peppa was next. Her sculpted neon yellow dress with oversized feathered hat was everything. Fingerdoo for Pep, just saying. I'm gonna go ahead and admit I did not like Coppertop's runway. What is it with these 17th century France references in this cast? Seriously, Fingerdoo for Coppertop. It's like she doesn't want to win. What's going on? Danny Beard's neon green bubble blower was a hit with me and the judges. So how could I not give it a Fingerdoo? Bubble blower was Jorge's drag name in high school. Cheddar's neon mushroom goddess was almost as much fun as Michelle was coming up with all those mushroom puns. Fingerdoo for gorgeous. Somebody put a sock in Michelle's. Dakota's neon runway was lovely, if not a little simple compared to what we've seen so far. I still gave it a Fingerdoo. LaPhil's ode to Naomi Campbell picking up trash as community service was cheeky, so I gave her a Fingerdoo. Just didn't like that wig. Pixie Polite's hand-painted oversized PVC rain ensemble was stunning, so of course I gave her a Fingerdoo. And then it was time for the judgment. The winner of the Maxi Challenge were Queens of the Bone Age, much to their surprise and, well, Triple Threat's chagrin, especially after it was announced that all 6 of the winning team members would be receiving repeater badges. Wow, from 1 winner to 7, that's a big jump. As for the members of Triple Threat, well, Starlet was told she looked uncomfortable on stage. John Burr's Blonde's lack of lip-syncing skills let her down, but like Starlet, her runway was fabulous. Baby was the clear frontrunner of her team, even if her runway was a little busy. That's the moment Rue let FKA Twigs know how much Baby loves her. It was a great fangirl moment for both of them. Seriously, that's adorable. Sminty was another one whose lip sync let her down. Although everyone loved her energy, her runway was called out for being a repeat of what she wore last week. Just like I said. Black Peppa was another fave of the judges this week, even though she seemed to over-ice her cupcake with too many tricks and stunts. I don't know. I like an over-iced cupcake, mostly because over-iced cupcake was my drag queen name in high school. I got it! Back in the Untucked Lounge, the Queens of the Bone Age were having a well-deserved gloat. Pixie was so happy to have won the girl group challenge that her emotions took over just a little scoot. She's so cute. When Triple Threat arrived, understandably, the mood in the workroom changed. It was clear that it would probably be Starlet and Sminty who would be lip-syncing. Sminty felt that she was in the bottom because of her silhouette, but that wasn't enough for her to start wearing old maiden dresses. So what, everything that doesn't involve tape as a top is an old maiden dress? Seriously, I thought Cheddar Gorgeous was going to slap some sense into Sminty right then and there, but then she really couldn't move in that dress, I'm just going to say. Starlet, on the other hand, seemed to blame her use of face tape for the uncomfortable expression on her face. She's 23. Why is she using face tape? Back on the main stage, it was not a big surprise that Starlet was in the bottom. What was a surprise was that John Burr's Blonde was there too. And by the look on Sminty's face, no one was more surprised than her. Seriously. The lip-sync song of choice this week was About You Now, written by Kathy Dennis and performed by the Sugar Babes. I have to say, I'm not surprised by this outcome. It looked to me like Starlet was afraid to move. And I'm not talking about her face. In fact, when she did that death drop, it came from so far out of left field that I thought she'd fainted. JB, on the other hand, was a tour de force in comparison. She emoted, she danced, she definitely gave us more to watch than Starlet, so when the music died, I wasn't surprised that it was John Burr's Blonde who shantaed, and sadly, it was Starlet who sashayed away. But I'll tell you, that was the dourest exit we've ever seen on Drag Race UK. Starlet didn't even give us a parting word or two at the end of the catwalk. Understandably, she was upset. So, do you agree with the judges? Did the right queen go home? Were the right two even in the bottom? Should Sminty have been there instead? And if she had, would we still be saying adieu to Starlet? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And while you're down there, you heard me. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And if you'd like to help support the Fingerdoo review, there are links in the description box down below to do just that. Until next time, this me! Seriously. I'm sorry to see Starlet go only because she's just a beautiful queen. I was looking forward to a lot of her runway. Mind you, we can see all that on Instagram. And if she's smart, she'll post everything as the other looks come out. But, my God, if she's taping her face so tight that she can't move it, I don't know what to say to that. I've never used those tapes. Have you ever used those tapes? I tried once, and while I was putting my makeup on, one of them snapped, and it looked like it had a stroke. And I thought, I can't have that happen on camera. I have enough trouble making my face look even to begin with. I don't need tape popping.